we are here on Real Estate in the Lowcountry. With us is our friend, the German-Realtor, Loni Lueke. Good to see you.
Good
and
to
you
see you.
brought with you a friend, and that
Yes.
is Darcy Varney.
Yes.
And it's nice to see you. Thank you so much. You are with Nexa Mortgage, and of
Yes.
course, Loni is with eXp Realty and is the German-Realtor. So we're going to talk a little bit today, ladies, because there's some changes coming up, and so we want to kind of get a handle on that before they happen, although it's imminent, really coming up in just a few days. So Loni, kind of walk us through what's going on. And I know it's a learning curve, so I know nobody's got it down pat perfectly, but tell us a little bit about what's going on.
Yeah, and I try to make this complex
I know,
change very short. So you may have heard, or most of the viewers may have heard of the rules that are changing, how the commissions are paid
Yes.
for real estate agents all over the country.
Right.
And the biggest change is that the buyer's compensation is no longer secured through the split of the seller's commission check,
Okay.
but it must be negotiated directly with the buyer. And the seller is allowed to help the buyer
Okay.
via compensation or credit, closing credit,
close it, yeah.
or a concession.
Okay.
And but he is not required to, and that means that the compensation can be different depending on the different homes a buyer would like to see.
Right.
The biggest issue may be for many buyers that the agent and the buyer need to agree about the compensation and the service that the buyer gets before the agent is allowed to show any homes, and that must be a written agreement.
Okay. So before you even walk in the door, you have to know
Yes.
what's happening up front.
Yes.
That's very interesting.
So there are some solutions, so it's always good to talk with your agent regarding what's best for them. But the entire change is a big issue, in particular for first home buyer.
Okay.
Who have maybe saved their money for many years to get the down payment done.
Yes.
And
now
they
a
are
little bit
confronted with a additional charge for the buyer service. So all eyes are now on the mortgage companies,
So
hoping that there is any help coming from. And this is why I'm so happy that my former broker and now my favorite mortgage lender joins us to give us her thoughts and maybe some solutions.
So we've got about 2 minutes left, and I know it's it's going to be a longer topic than 2 minutes, but kind of give us what you're seeing and what buyers and sellers should be aware of.
Right. So a seller can obviously upfront agree to compensate the buyer's agent, but if they don't choose to do that, then a buyer can have their agent try to negotiate seller concessions in the contract. And most loan programs allow seller concessions anywhere from 3 to 9%, depending on the loan type. So those concessions can be wrapped into the mortgage and the purchase price if the seller isn't offering it up front.
Okay. And when you're talking to somebody who's in the position of buying, and obviously they're getting pre-approved, they're going through that whole process, are you taking into consideration when you're doing the pre-approval that they may have to be paying some of that if they don't get the compensation back from the seller?
You aren't taking into consideration for their pre-approval amount, but you are keeping in mind that if seller concessions are negotiated, then that is a credit back to them. So that's an advantage for the borrower.
Right. And I know we're really just kind of on the cusp of this even happening. So what do you think you're going to see from sellers? Do you think they're going to be willing to do this?
I think if the agent presents it correctly to a seller and helps the seller understand that it's going to be advantageous and make their listing more attractive if they offer it, then sellers will understand that, because customarily it's always been wrapped into the purchase price.
Yeah. Right. And I studied and got prepared for different solutions.
Yes.
So, and one thing that I know about me is that I'm a good problem solver. So in whatever situation a buyer or a seller may be, please call me, and I'm really so happy to help you through the process and
Yeah. You
most
guys
likely
can
with a
navigate
good
it together
mortgage
and
lender.
make it
Yeah.
the best plan for everybody.
Right.
Well, thank you for at least starting this topic of conversation, because I know it's going to be one we'll have for many months, but thank you so much both for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.